all of you are doing well. Welcome back to Murder and Its Victims. It's your host, Kay, and I have another story for you. And this is going to be on 22-year-old Akia Eggleston. I'm sure a lot of you are already familiar with this story, but there has been a recent update, and so that made me want to talk about it and explain it. So we're just going to get right into it. On May 3rd, 2017, 22-year-old Akia Eggleston was seen at a BB&T bank in Baltimore. After walking out, she was never seen again. Akia was born on September 6, 1994, and she was raised by her mother, Latina Wilkerson. Now, her mother passed away from cancer in 2012, and she was then raised by her additional family, including her stepfather, Sean, and his new wife, Angelique. Her stepfather, Sean, would describe her as lively and energetic. He said that she loved to act, sing, and dance. And lastly, she was the best mother. She loved her daughter and her unborn son. Which brings us to 2017, and by that time she was 22, and she had a 2-year-old daughter, and she was 8 months pregnant with a baby boy. However, the pregnancy did have some complications and was considered high risk because the baby was breech, and she experienced some pain, discomfort, and she was placed on bed rest. But you couldn't keep Akia down. She wanted to keep active and do as much for herself as she could. But there was another thing surrounding this pregnancy, and that was who was the father of the unborn child, which Akia kept a secret from her family. Her friends knew, kind of, sort of, but her family was unaware, and they didn't press the issue. And we will touch on why I think she kept them a secret a little later, and we will get into who he is a little later. Now, by May 7th, there was a baby shower that was planned. Akia had planned this baby shower. She had put money into this baby shower, and it was for her friends. It was also going to be a gender reveal. However, she never showed up. And at this point, her friends became worried and concerned, and they went to her apartment to see if she was there. However, she was not there. Unfortunately, the cameras at the complex were not working, so whatever they thought they would be able to see or police would be able to see, they weren't able to determine her whereabouts, her movements, or anything. By May 8th, Akia still didn't show up, and a missing persons report was put out. They looked into Akia's whereabouts on May 3rd, and they found out that a friend actually took her around for some errands. Due to her high-risk pregnancy, she couldn't drive, or she wasn't supposed to drive. So they questioned the friend about, what did they do that day, just to rule the friend out, and of course the friend was ruled out. Police were then made aware that Akia had planned to move in with a boyfriend. Now, her family had no idea about this. They didn't even believe it was true. However, there was a text message that she sent a friend saying that she was going to move out with her boyfriend and that she wanted to keep it a secret. She was planning on moving out by the 10th, and so police thought, well, maybe she had already moved out and she didn't tell anyone since the family didn't know. However, Akia's family told the police that was impossible because she would never have left her daughter behind. Also, she needed constant monitoring due to the high risk pregnancy, and plus, nobody seemed to have assisted her in moving. When police went to Akia's apartment, they realized that certain things had been moved. Her clothes were gone, certain furniture pieces were gone, and her family knew that Akia could not have done it by herself. However, no one came forward to say, hey, we helped her or I helped her move. So this was kind of suspicious. Akia also had recently talked about her mother's passing and how much she missed her mother. And as I told you before, her mother passed away actually from breast cancer. And so police were wondering, did she just go away to herself and her life, thinking that that was a possibility. However, her family once again said no, she would not do that. She loved living, she loved her children, and she loved her family, and she would not have done that. The family became frustrated with the lack of communication with the police. They felt that the police did not take this case seriously because Akia was a single black female, a single black mother, and it just felt like, had she been another race, maybe she would have got more attention. So they began to speak out, hoping to bring awareness. Now, I'm not sure when or how they found out who her unborn child's father was. They eventually found out that his name was Andre Michael Robertson, and he was 14 years older. So at this time, Akia was 22 and he was 36. He went by the name Michael, so that's how I'm going to refer to him from now on. And her stepfather actually was familiar with Michael because they were childhood friends. Now, I'm not sure if Akia was aware of this or not, but Sean was not too thrilled about finding that out. So Michael was living a double life. He also had another 22-year-old girlfriend who he stayed with occasionally, who was also pregnant, and that was actually the couple's second child. So, in the midst of being with Akia, he was also with this woman, and he was living with both of them, moving back and forth. After Akia's disappearance, he actually moved with the other girlfriend to Michigan with their children, and he never once attempted to look for Akia. Police questioned Michael several times, but they didn't have enough evidence to hold him or arrest him, so he continued with his life, but the suspicions of him remained. However, by 2022, a break came in the case. Now, unbeknownst to the public, police continued to focus on Michael, and they looked for information surrounding Akia's disappearance and what he was doing around that time. They also compared what they learned from what he actually told police. Initially, he told police that he had not spoken to Akia since May 1st. He told them that he and Akia had gotten into an argument, he left her apartment, and had not spoken to her. However, his phone cell records would show that he actually was with her up until her disappearance. So on May 2nd, Michael sent some pictures to Akia of an apartment, and he said that they were going to move in together, but they needed a deposit. So Akia went to the bank and took out some money orders so that they could pay for the deposit. After which she told Michael, hey, I got the money so we can put down the deposit. Michael Googled, how can I cash the deposit? So it seemed like he was trying to cash the money instead. So according to reports, that day, that night, Akia posted a picture of her unborn baby. She posted a picture of the sonogram, which angered Michael's other girlfriend. So then Michael and the other girlfriend began to argue via text message and Facebook message, and that lasted for the rest of the night. His cell phone records would show that he never left Akia's apartment. He was still there with her, even though he told police that he had not talked to her or seen her since May 1st. On May 3rd, Michael went to work and continued to have communication with Akia. And this is when Akia was last seen at the bank, and she ended up depositing the money orders and getting the cash back. Later that day, she ordered Michael a lift from his job to her home, and after that, she was never seen again. So, in the midst of dating these two women, Michael lived with them. Like, he was going back and forth. He did not have his own place, nor did he have his own car. Nor did it seem like he had a lot of money because he asked Akia to get out the money to give to the apartment. So, this was a man who had nothing to lose and everything to gain from these women. So continuing on, police would discover that the apartment information that Michael sent to Akia had no record of the couple moving in. She ended up taking out $900, but the deposit was actually $2,000. So where did that money go, and what was that money for? I think he actually took the money from Akia. He wanted to get as much from her as he could because he knew what he was going to do. He also told Akia that it was going to be on a certain street, and that apartment complex was nowhere near that street. Michael lied to the police and told them the couple had no intentions of moving together. However, their conversation messages via text showed that he told Akia that he was going to move in with her, so they caught him in another lie. He also lied about changing his phone number and his phone. So I guess he thought by ditching his phone, it would get rid of everything that they ever talked about, and not knowing that they could go back and look at her records and see what she said and what she talked about and who she talked to. However, her phone was actually never found. Lastly, he Googled information on landfills and trash pickups in the Baltimore area. In 2022, Michael was arrested in Michigan and extradited to Baltimore. Police believe he killed Akia and dumped her body in a dumpster, which was eventually sent to a landfill. On July 27, 2023, he was convicted of 2 counts of murder and faces 2 life sentences, and his sentencing will happen in September. Now, I don't think Michael had any intentions of being with Akia or going through this pregnancy. I don't know why he stayed. I guess he got some use out of her, of course, her money and her place. Or maybe he felt the pressures from his other girlfriend, and this is why he decided to kill Akia. I don't believe this was planned long term, like he had this plan for months, but I do think it was planned shortly before her death. But before she died, he wanted to see how much money he can get from her, which is why he wanted her to go to the bank and withdraw money, pretending like it was for the deposit. Akia kept Michael a secret, and he possibly encouraged it, which is a red flag. So I wanted to let everybody know, no one dating you is going to want to keep you a secret. It's one thing to keep your relationship private and another thing to keep you a secret. However, I think Akia more than likely wanted to keep her relationship private due to the circumstances surrounding his other child's mother. I'm pretty sure she knew her family was going to say, there's no reason for you to be messing with this man. He has no car, he has no home, he's living with another woman, she's pregnant by him. And she didn't want to hear that. She just enjoyed their life together and thought it was going to change. Unfortunately, she was taken advantage of. She was vulnerable, she was young, she was still reeling from the death of her mother, and he saw that in her. You know, men like that can see when women need love and want love, and he pounced on that. Also unfortunate is that Akia's body has never been found. So I'm hoping the conviction will give her family some comfort, and may Akia and her unborn baby rest in peace. Tell me what y'all think about this story. It's very crazy. It's sad how some young girls get caught up in these crazy relationships because they're looking for love. If her mother never died, would she have sought a man like that? Who knows? I mean, she did have her stepfather in her life. I don't know anything about her biological father, but who knows? Y'all let me know what you think, and y'all stay safe out there.